Welcome to another episode on the Leshiy channel. Today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Canadips. I'll tell you more about a cool new product that they just dropped later on in this video. But first, I got a mixed bag of 5.56 and 7.62 tracers to show you. We've had a lot of multi-shot action of late on the channel, and I got a few of them mixed in today as well. But primarily today is back to one clean shot with a red tracer. The red paint on the back of the pellet allows me to not only show the tracer effect in slow-mo, but when I pause it right here, it allows me to do a little education on shot placement. Now, if you find yourself with a quartering type shot like this, this is the perfect shot placement for an instant lights out. This will pass through the brain and then sever the spine at the base of the skull. So speaking of those red tracers, so I get a lot of questions on how I make these. It's actually pretty simple with the help of my friends over at Field Pro. I'll drop their email in the description. They don't have a website for whatever reason. But these are caliber-specific 3D printed holders that allow me to paint 121 pellet ore slugs at once. So I used to do these by hand. And while that was incredibly time-consuming, it was also kind of inconsistent on the amount of paint that you would get on each one. So it's a pretty simple process of just laying down a few very thin layers of a white primer and then the main color that you're going to do. So between the two of them, it's probably no more than 4 layers. So I kind of do 2 of each. But they're really thin. You don't want that paint to build up. So the final layer that I do on top of that is a high-gloss sealer. And again, really thin. And then they're ready to go. That sealer helps, I found, kind of keep the paint intact. In fact, I've extracted them out of squirrels or raccoons, and the paint looks perfect still. So this will help just kind of reduce the amount that you're going to have to clean the barrel, but you're definitely still going to have to clean the barrel more often if you're using these painted slugs or pellet, what I'll refer to as tracers. So when you're done, they're going to look like this, and it's go time. One of the things I like about filming in slow motion is being able to see the reaction times of some of these tree rats. Watch just at the last second as this guy tries to move out of the way. The end result is quite the mess. YouTube actually isn't a fan of this shade of red, so I'll gray it out to stay out of their crosshairs. No pun intended. This guy was dead before he hit the ground. Well, he never actually did hit the ground as his claws got stuck in the tree. This happens every once in a while, though. Next up is this chipper, and he was locked in on me the whole time, but he never budged as that 7.62 pellet went from the muzzle of my Leshiy 2 right to its forehead. Oof. Oh, man. Yep, that's lights out. Speaking of forehead taps, here's another 7.62 landing in the 10 ring. The concussion alone would be endgame, but that 47 grain NSA bullet went from its dome right into the tree, which actually is a little safety tip for you. When shooting anything, really, but especially airgun bullets, or some call them slugs for some reason, you need to be very aware of what's behind. They retain so much more energy downrange than a pellet, given the aerodynamics of them, and the net result is overpenetration, even with the hollow point ones. So I actually just grazed this guy. Watch this one. Oof. But because of the larger caliber, it still took out like 2/3 of its dome. Alright, so there's a little backstory behind this one. I don't have it on film, but I watched him come out of his den under my patio. And these bastards have caused so much damage that you're seeing here. Well, they get what they get. An excessive amount of lead. There's always some moonbat snowflake in the comments asking why I would put 5 7.62 rounds into a chipmunk. They're so cute. Well, I suggest you roll up your sleeves and fix an 800 square foot patio yourself, or write a check and have it done. You'll be chasing them with a shovel, trust me. Watch this guy. Just as I was squeezing trigger, went down for another peanut. Didn't matter though. This one took out its brain, and given the way that it was kind of leaning forward, pretty much every vital as well before it exited out its hip. Man, I tore this mini table for one up pretty quick with shots like this. Oops. Looks like he left a little bubble gum behind on that backstop. So my friends over at Canadips just released their new fuel line, which is made up of these two, the Sleep and the Energy. So they come in these pre-measured dip pouches, and you just pop one in like you would a normal dip, except these are 100% tobacco-free, and you don't have to spit. So they're made with CBD and CBG, which is legal in all 50 states. So the Sleep fuel also has the CBN in it, and that will have you yawning in like 30 minutes. And man, this thing keeps you asleep all night. So I had one last night and I almost forgot to take it out. Just hit me like a ton of bricks. But what was really cool about it though was this morning I had no groggy feelings at all. So the Go Fuel is the CBG one, and it also has caffeine in it, and it kind of just keeps you nice and dialed in without that jittery kind of feeling that some energy drinks or sometimes too much coffee will give you.
Might I have a Red Balls, please? Shazam!
So they've given me a code to pass along that will give you 30% off on a fuel pack, which is 3 of each of these guys for you guys to test out. So click the link in the description to go to canadips.com and use code EDGUN, EDGUN, to save 30%. All right, guys, now let's get back to some 5.56 tracers. This and the next shot are from the Steyr Pro X in 5.56 that I got from Airgun Sport. So the incredible trigger and accuracy are just bonkers on this thing. And that's why I'm excited to be giving it away to one lucky winner that is part of the new merch drop promotion. So I'll throw a link in the description for the full details of that as well. Like that chipper earlier, this guy was just locked onto me. So I wasn't sure what he was doing. So I waited a little bit before I finally just sent one. This was a 7.62 Hades pellet, and it just buried itself into that tree rat, resulting in a, well, not technically a dirt nap, is it? Because it's not on the ground. Let's call this a branch snooze. So I don't shoot a ton of house sparrows in my yard, but a few times a year, my neighbor will ask me to send a message to the hundreds that start to take over her feeder. I'd say the Steyr did a pretty good job here, letting the guys, well, this guy's crew up in the trees move along somewhere else. All right, so back to the dirty 30 on this one as I send a super clean double tap. One in the dome, and then a quick heart punch on the way down. So we're going to shift gears here a bit and show a little sneak peek into an upcoming thermal tracers video. So while not as pronounced as the red tracers during the day, with a good thermal like the ATN 4-40 640 unit that I'm using here, you can pick up the hot tracer as it contrasts with the cooler air. But the best part for me with thermal is the explosions after. Thermal is really the ultimate pest control tool because nothing can hide. They could be in the bushes, it doesn't matter. You're going to find them, and you're going to smoke them. So we're going to wrap up today's video with this tree rat versus chipmunk battle to see which one gets smoked first. The chippers are small, but these things must have needle teeth, as this squirrel wants no smoke from this guy. So that guy laying in the ditch there, watch what happens here. The squirrel comes down and eats him. So crazy. Thanks for watching the EDgun Leshiy channel. Want more backyard hunting videos? Grab your favorite beverage and get yourself caught up. There's hundreds just like the one you just watched. Here's a couple favorites to get you started.